Graham, we'll start with Tuesday. Your reflections on it a few days later, and how much of a building block that can be going into Saturday.
That's how we have to see it. I think first and foremost we won a game of football, which was a good feeling, always a good feeling. But then you want to take games forward, certainly if they're positive results, and sort of improve upon them, maintain lots of good things that were involved in those games. And so it has to be a small step forward, and we have to continue a lot more steps. But it was. I was when I watched it back, I was as impressed when I reviewed it as I was at the time. Without the emotion of trying to win a game, I thought there was a lot of good stuff in and out of possession that we wanted to produce and obviously replicate if we can.
How much can you learn from that to take into the upcoming fixtures?
Yeah, well, we've got to feed it back to the players so I said to the players after the game, you don't need any words from me. You played well. That's it. That's all I've got to say. Because I didn't want to get into the intricacies of why we played well. Certainly not after a game. I wanted to just sit there and enjoy each other's company after winning a game of football. But we will slowly feed back bits and pieces, a bit of the tactical side, a bit of the the emotional side. I thought, because we started the game in a much more higher emotional state, which allowed us to make a positive start, scoring the goal, and then continuing that in every other action after that. And that was the most important thing, that we didn't sit back. I think throughout the game, I've got clips of us pressing the ball 3, 4, 5 times with about 30 seconds to go, when we're 5-1 up. That's a good sign that players want to do the right things consistently, but we have to do it every single game.
Yeah, and for you, it must be, you talked about that, 5 goals on the score sheet, but just not letting up, keeping that energy, that desire, that press up. That must be massive for you.
Yeah, no, because if you just come off it a little bit, that's a bad habit, and then habits can come back and bite you in the next game or a couple of games after that. So what you want to do is produce good habits and behave the right way all the time. Be consistent in your thoughts. If you want to have consistent performances, the consistency has to be started in your mind and how you think, and how you approach every training session, every game. And if you're always producing the same sort of commitment, effort, and focus, then you won't even have to think about that going forward. It will just happen naturally. Yeah. So for me, that they were good signs that we could maintain the levels of focus and concentration and quality as well, because we had a lot of quality the other night. So and there was obviously different players in the team, and so we have to build upon that with the group that we have.
One of the goal scorers on Tuesday, Lewis Richards, he's just been chatting to us. He says since you've come in, he likes how much detail you go into. He's stepped into the side with Liam Rydalge being out. I just wondered, what has the message been to Lewis filling in for Liam?
Listen, I don't overpower players with or overload them with lots of stuff that I don't think is necessary. You can't cover absolutely everything in a football game, because it's impossible. The players have to make 500, 600 decisions in a 90-minute period. So, but you try to get them in a general mindset where it's positive, where it's forward-facing, front-footed, and use it. And I try to get the players to. I try to identify the players' attributes and make sure we focus on them and ask them to produce them at the best level. So, for instance, Lewis is a really physical player. He's quick. He can take people on. He can defend 1v1. So I'm getting him to concentrate on those things, but certainly be more positive when he gets into those attacking scenarios. That was something I challenged him at half time about, because I just felt he got levelled up in a 1v1 duel in the first half and sort of turned it down and came backwards all the time. So just challenged him at half time to be positive. If it doesn't work, don't mind, but just be positive and be front-footed. And then I think he probably had that in his head when he took the shot on. There was no second thoughts. He took his touch and hit the target. So he got his reward. So for me, hopefully that will encourage him to, and other players, that they can, that we identify their attributes, their outstanding attributes, that's all we want them to keep producing. And so he's done really well in the 2 games. I feel baptism was a fire on Saturday, but I thought he recovered well from it, and in the game in the second half, but certainly on Tuesday, it was an all-round performance.
On the opposite side of that defence, Brad Halliday's come in for a lot of plaudits. He's someone who clearly likes getting forward and having a run at the opposition's defence. Playing in that position yourself, Graham, just what have you made to Brad's performances since you've come in?
Similar vein to Lewis, really. I think I spoke to all the players as a group, and then as individuals or in units, as in the fullbacks and so forth, and we talk to our fullbacks, and we've always produced teams that have flying fullbacks, and that's what we, ones that want to go forward, want to bomb forward. I said, but you better be fit enough to run back as well, because it's not just one way. And I think that they're all capable of doing that, but certainly Brad is. Listen, I don't want to talk about, or I can't talk really about too much about performances before, but all I've seen in the 3 games is a lad that's fully full of energy, fully committed in every action he does. It's never half-hearted, and he works his backside off for the team, and he's got some good quality. He picks up some great positions in the attacking sense that nothing to do with me. That's just off his instinct, but we like it, so we're going to let him roll with that, because I think it's a really good weapon for the team, to be honest. But they both understand, if you're a defender, your defensive duties come first. Yeah. But if you're just going to sit there and defend and not add anything to the attacking part of the game, then you're probably not going to be for us. So, like I said, I think we're not asking Brad or Lewis to do things they're not capable of. We're just maybe letting them off the leash a little bit.
Vidane Oliver came on in the second half. As we said on Tuesday, it's been a while since we've seen him in a City shirt. First, how is he after coming back on Tuesday? And 2, Graham, how do you see Vidane's role in the side now he is coming back?
He's a little bit stiff this morning. I asked him why, because he only did 20 minutes. So, you know what I mean? Come on, I could do 20 minutes now. So, no, but it was good, because we had a good long conversation the day before about maybe getting 20 minutes in the game. I promised him it'd only be 20 minutes. I wouldn't put him at risk by bringing him on after half an hour or anything like that. Regardless of how the scoreline is, we want to get you back up to speed. It was going to be a broken week training wise, so it was a good opportunity to get him some game time. Speaking to him this morning, he felt the intensity and the tempo of the game was something he couldn't replicate in training, so it was probably worth a full training session just in the 20 minutes, so that was good. Gives him an idea that how much work he has to put into to get up to full speed. Look, he's an experienced striker with brilliant attributes. He's a great lad, I think well respected by his teammates and everybody, and he's a proven striker at this level, so we want all our players to be available. I want to have decisions to make. I know of his qualities, and it's great to have him, back out on the pitch in a kit. But we just have to assess where he is before the weekend, whether he's involved again. Because like I say, it was purposely done with 20 minutes. That's all we had in for, and we wanted to see how he responded to that. So, but he's trained again today, which is good. It's a good sign that he's recovered in the 24 hours or so, and we'll see how he progresses. Back
at Valley Parade on Saturday, just the 3 league wins there so far this season. The number of conversations we've had with your predecessors, Graham, about making the home ground a fortress. I'm just interested in how you view playing at home and Valley Parade.
I think it's important to win games at home, because listen, 100% of your supporters that come week in, week out at home, you only get a certain percentage away from home, but when they come, certainly in the numbers that we carry, then you want to reward that support with wins, and you want to build up a momentum, and you want to build up a place where people fear coming. But it's important to win away as well. That's what I need to stress, that we don't prioritise home wins over away wins. I think if you want to be successful, you have to win both home and away. I wouldn't want to put too much emphasis on the home games being so much different to away games. I think you have to try and, as a footballer, I think you have to go into every game of football and take out all the outside, details, home crowd, away crowd, cup game, league game, all those sort of things, league position, all those sort of things. Almost try and take the scoreline out of the game sometimes and actually play what's needed for that specific moment, that specific minute, 2 minutes, 3 minute block, and try and break the game down to that. And if you can break your game down to those fundamentals and focus on those, then you won't go far wrong. I think it's when you start thinking about what's outside of the pitch that you're not focused on your job. And that's what we try to do. But obviously at times like this, on a Thursday and a Friday, when we're talking about that game, we can talk about the outside thing. But certainly come 3 o'clock on a Saturday, the players need to just be concentrated on what they have to do against their direct opponent and what they have to do for their team. If we can create a momentum of winning games, both home and away, then we know we're in a good spot. But listen, we want to reward that crowd because it's a phenomenal crowd.
One of the outside factors, and you've maybe answered my next question, is that the side have already played Accrington in the League Cup this season, beat them in the first round, got through on penalties. Yeah. Does that come into it at all, Graham, or is that something we just talk about?
It doesn't come into it for me. No, for me it's irrelevant because I think you might be thinking about that game if you played in it, and it might be a bad experience you had in the particular game. There might be two players that didn't play well in that. And they think about that, so I just want them to start every game from scratch. Listen, there's emotions, and you do carry on emotions from the previous game. Maybe if it's a win like we did the other night, you'd like to think the emotions start, but they can quickly dissipate if you don't start the game right in the first 3 or 4 minutes. So for me, it gives you a feeling, but we want to get our players in an emotional state where they're balanced. And it's not like a roller coaster. Either you're up there or you're down there, because football throws all sorts of things at you during the season, certainly through 90 minutes. So you have to have a steady state of mind to be able to sort of control what's going on around you, and certainly in your own mind. So a game that happened, I don't even know how many months ago it was, it's pretty irrelevant for me going into the game.
Just lastly, some team news-wise, is there anyone you can welcome back ahead of Saturday?
No, if the top of my head, not from the last couple of games. No one's come through from the rehab group. A couple of touching training, but nowhere near enough to start a game or be involved in a squad. So we pretty much got the similar squad to what we've had in the last two games.
Any updates from Brentford on Dan Oyegoke? I know you said it last week. It was in their hands and the scan and all of that. Yeah,
I think he's having surgery on his shoulder. So. He's going to be out for a little while, so he won't be available to us. We still have to have a conversation with Brentford about his longer future sort of thing over the season. But yeah, we found out that he has to have an operation, which is frustrating for him, because I spoke to him the day after, and it's what he didn't want to be the case, but unfortunately it is.
And other than that, everyone who played on Tuesday and at the weekend are all fine to play this weekend?
I think there's no one that came off. No one's reported anything from Tuesday, apart from the usual bumps and bruises which you'd expect from a competitive game. So no, we're pretty much where we were.
Great stuff. Thanks for your time. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Obviously, people always talk about turning points in the season and things, which last Tuesday is obviously we mentioned. But could it be also that goals have been hard to come by for this team, and that scoring 5 like that, 5 different players, really can almost lift the weight and allow more freedom in the play?
I think it can give players confidence that the messages we're trying to get across, and taking that risk and letting the leash off. I think you need reward for that information, for that message, and just to sort of give the players confidence in what you're talking about, but almost that they've got the freedom to go and do that and attack, and I think they'll enjoy playing that way. They must have all enjoyed playing in that game the other day, not just scoring the goals. There's a lot of other things you can take enjoyment from in a game of football, but I think scoring goals and winning are the two top of the list. So I think, but when you talk about turning points, I think you only see turning points further down the line. When you look back, when did it turn? I don't think you can say, oh, that's the turning point 3 days, 2 days after a game. I think you have to string a good amount of results to prove that's the case. But if it gives you hope, then I think you should cling on to that, because we all want a bit of hope. We all want a bit of positive feeling about the future can be better than what the past has been in the last few months. But I think they've shown in the last 1.5 games that we can produce a competitive team, and a team that can score goals and defend well. And that's the sort of the formula that everyone's looking for, because it ends in good results.
And Accrington, of course, at the top end of the table, what have you actually made of them so far this season?
Look, I've been working in my previous job. I had 3 weeks off, and I've been working in this job, so I can't say I've been concentrating on any particular team apart from my own. But I think the league is a good directive to how good a team is. The league table, I should say, because after 17, 18 games, you are where you deserve to be. So they've proved over those amount of games that they've got enough points to be better than a lot of other teams in this division. It's quite a simplistic sort of reasoning behind that, but they are. And listen, you've got a manager who's vastly experienced, has had success at Aki several times. So listen, you ever play against Accrington Stanley, you know you're going to have to be at your best to win a game of football. So that's where my focus is on. Is on my team producing their best.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
So growing about John Coleman, I mean, do you sort of look at him and managers like that who've been given so much time at these clubs, and is it a sort of scenario, almost like a sort of dream scenario for a manager, or is it just very much a sort of exception to the rule at perhaps a couple of clubs?
Well, it is the exception, or not. There's maybe a couple of examples, but I think he's earned that time. I don't think anyone's given it him. I think it's justified off the success that he's brought to the club. That's the reality. I think I think we're all in short-term sort of positions, to be honest, because we're in a short-term sort of sport. So you have to earn that time. And sometimes you could maybe feel you're harshly treated, or a manager is. But if you've been at a club for as long as he has in 2 different spells, then I'm sure he's earned that time with, and not just success on the pitch, but how he built the team up and earned money for the club with recruitment and selling players on and stuff like that. So I think any manager that's had significant time at a club has earned that through how they've produced results.
He's very much got his sort of imprint on the club, hasn't he? So I mean, the club, any young lads coming through or players coming in, they know exactly the sort of Accrington Stanley way, so to speak, don't they?
Yeah, look, I think, and that only comes with time. That's the thing. If you want a culture that's developed by one person or one idea, then it takes time to do that, because there's such a turnaround in players. That cultures can change at clubs every 6 months or 9 months, but if you've been there for as long as John has, then you can get it working exactly how it needs to be. I think there's always different aspects at different clubs, and Accrington's a very unique football club, but no one knows it better than John Coleman, because they come hand in hand. So it's great to see when you see that longevity in football, and there've been a lot of energy spent by him as well, in doing the same job year in, year out, and producing results out of nothing. So not only has the team got a fight in their hands, I think I have as well.
I was going to say, he doesn't seem to have mellowed on the touchline at all, him and Jimmy Bell, do they?
I think passion is important for your job, certainly in football anyway. So it's how you express that, and I think we're all capable of sort of showing that passion in different ways and at different times. So, but if you haven't got the energy and the passion for football and for winning games, then football's going to churn you out and spit you out. That's the reality. So you have to have that inner drive, that inner love for the day-to-day, where it's not just the results, but it's the day-to-day that you have to enjoy. I wouldn't say have to enjoy, because there's certain things that you'd love to park and never see again, but there's enough in the game and the sport and the role to get immense enjoyment from him, and I'm sure he's had those moments over the years.
Obviously, you were saying about 17, 18 games in the season. Teams are where they deserve to be, and obviously, from your own point of view, I think 19th place at the moment.
Yeah.
Supporters inevitably are sort of looking very nervously at the table, saying, what's going on. Is it sort of a base where you still feel from there the season's still very much alive towards what everyone's aiming to do ultimately?
Yeah, I was thinking about this last week, and I think we got to stop talking about the end game, the end thing, and focus on what's right in front of us. Me personally, I think, because it is a continuation of a lot of small steps and a lot of small wins, keep going, and then see where you are if you're in a position to compete for good things. But I think similar to when I was talking about focusing on things outside the game, trying to focus on the end result 6 months away or 5 months away. You know what I mean? Let's focus on what's right in front of us, and there's a fierce competitor in front of us. We've got to be a fierce competitor, and if we can overcome those battles along the way, we have to see where it takes us. But let's just have the pressure of trying to win on Saturday first and deal with that, and then let's see where we go from that. But I've been in the game a long time, both as a player, certainly in England, in 46 game seasons. There's loads of periods throughout it. There's loads of time. What you don't want to do is put off. All right, let's start kicking in here. You have to be straight away. But seasons can go both ways through a month of good or negative results. I think probably if you'd gone back a month ago, everyone was really optimistic because there'd been a couple of wins and everyone was bright and thinking we're just this off this and that, and then a couple of defeats, it sort of knocks you down. But this is what I'm trying to call this balance of where we are mentally. Let's just focus on our job that's right in front of us and see where it takes us.
Sometimes for players, I suppose you've got to get that much of the players, but when you're in the sort of goldfish bowl, Valley Parade a little bit with a big crowd and that the inevitable big demand, it sometimes can be difficult perhaps to sort of switch off from that outside distractions.
No, that's why we're professionals, to know when to focus on and what to focus on certain things. So there's loads of distractions. There's distractions in your training program where your mates are socialising or your wife wants to take you shopping all day, but you've got to focus on what you got to do. It's the same in when you go into the stadium. You've got to try and manage your emotional thoughts and feelings into what's necessary and what you can control. But if you're at Bradford playing in front of a big crowd, you've chose to be here. You've chose to take on that challenge. I would have thought it'd have been a positive in your thinking as a player or as a coach of coming here, of the excitement of playing in front of 18, 19, 20,000. It's got to be an excitement for me if you think about it, but then you can't, that's the reality when you're in front of it, then you can't shrivel up and die. You need to start and go, this is what I wanted to do, this is what I wanted to be a part of, and actually relish that sort of opportunity.
And going briefly back to Verdane, obviously now he's sort of back in the mix. I mean, you've seen him, he's had a very good career. He's sort of striker that defenders hate to play against, and he's a handful. And presumably, he's there from minute 1 to 90, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think I spoke to him just before he went on. I told him to take it easy and just see himself through for 20 minutes, and he's chasing the right back down the line and trying to slide tackle him. And that's not really taking it easy. But he said to me, once he crosses the white line, that's how he is, fully committed. I love that. I love that sort of that feeling, that full commitment. That's what we want. That's what we want our team to be. But for your team to be that, you have to have individuals like that. So we're well aware of Verdane's qualities, but we do have to be patient. We understand that he's been out for a significant amount of time. So let's not just go gung ho because he's played 20 minutes at the end of a game. That we think, all right, he's up and firing. We have to make sure that we give him the time to establish himself physically back into what's required to play for 90 odd minutes.
Presumably, as a manager, though, it must be an exciting prospect knowing you've got a player like that who, once he's up, you feel he's fit and firing, you can throw him out there and he's available to sort of cause chaos.
Yeah, I'm excited about all our players because I think the more good players we have, the better competition. I think keeps everyone on their toes, and plus when it gets to that 60, 70-minute mark, you know, if you need to improve your performance or keep it going, you've got good quality players on the bench to bring on to replace good quality players. That's how a strong, powerful squad should work, and players have got to relish that competition and quality they have around them. It should give them more confidence in trying to win games of football. When you look around you look at your teammates and you think, you know what, good player, great lad, works hard with us, connected, all that sort of thing. That's when I think as an individual you can build yourself up as well by looking at the support you've got, because it is a team sport. It's really important that we always remember that it's not about the individuals, it's about how the team comes together. But I think there's several top performers in that team, in that squad, that I'm excited to work with and sort of gel together. But so it's good to see him back.